Okay, so how's it going, guys? This is going to be a video on a bait that I've waited a while to get my hands on. It's the Booyah Toad Runner. This is basically going to be a video talking about the bait and talking about the rod and reel that I use for it. So I'm going to talk about the bait first. Basically, it's your hollow body frog, but as you can tell, it has a big kicking tail on the back of it, which is awesome for open water fishing, for fishing around hydrilla, for fishing around lily pads, stumps, trees, pretty much anything you can think of. It's going to make a lot of noise with this tail, and it's going to bring in a lot of fish. So frog fishing is one of my favorite types of fishing. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and I've always complained about having hollow belly frog and fishing a little more open water and not having really a ton of noise coming from that bait. So with this Toad Runner having this tail, you're able to fish this in open water, kind of like a large swim bait, but also have that weedless advantage. So if you do get into some areas that have a lot of grass or a lot of nasty conditions in that area, you're going to be able to bring this through that sludge and not have to worry about it getting snagged up, but still has that tail to make a lot of noise and bring in the bites. So over the last, I want to say 3 weeks that I've been using this bait, I've caught a decent amount of bass on it. It's held up very well. The hooks on it, on most of your hollow belly frogs, the hooks are either a gamakatsu or an owner. This bait comes with the trocars. I'm sure you can't even see it, but it comes with the trocars on it, and for only $9.99, it's a decent bait for that price with those hooks and with this tail. It does come with a replacement tail too, which is great because eventually, the way this tail's made, it has a metal bar that goes through the back of it, and it will rip eventually after you catch a couple of fish. I think I've caught probably 10 fish on it so far, and it still works. I've had a couple gar take some pretty gnarly bites out of the back, but so far so good. It's a great bait. I think down the road, when Booyah starts seeing some of the customer reviews on it, they can make some adjustments on it. I think the bait's a little too wide, so when you do throw it and you are fishing it, before you do catch a fish, I feel like the hooks kind of, they slide over to the right or left depending on where it is on the back of the frog. So most of the time it's going to be like that, but when you fish it and cast it a lot, it kind of turns over a little bit, and then eventually you're going to catch grass, or it's just not going to swim right. It's going to flip upside down. But from what I noticed after catching a couple decent fish, having the top of it finally pull out of the bait, it does hit those hooks a little bit better, and you can cast it and not have any issues. It does cast very far even with this tail. I heard some people saying that it doesn't cast that great because of how big this paddle tail is, but it casts just fine for me. So far I give it a 7.5 out of 10 as far as out of a 10 as far as the quality and the design of the frog, and hookup ratio is actually pretty good. You just got to make sure you don't set the hook before the fish even gets it in their mouth, which is very hard with a frog. Because right as we see that explosion, you want to set that hook. I have this frog on one of my favorite reels. It's the Revo MGX HS. It's their high speed. Great reel. It has the 9 stainless steel HP CR bearings and the 1 roller bearing. With casting this frog, like I said a minute ago, as far as being able to bomb it out there, this has the IVCB4 braking system, which makes tuning your reel perfect as far as casting light or heavy baits, which is great because you want to have that extra long cast to cover as much water as possible with a frog. 30-pound Spiderwire Ultra Cast. Usually I throw a little bit heavier, but I'm not really in some nasty stuff right now. I'm in a little bit of some thinner, I don't know, like duckweed or whatever on top of the surface, so I don't need anything really heavy right now. Usually I'll throw like a 50-pound test Ultra Cast on this. The drag system on there is the carbon matrix drag system. It's 17-pound drag system. When you lock this thing down, it is not budging at all. Which usually I have it almost all the way locked down when I'm fishing in some heavy cover. And of course, when you're done fishing, loosen that drag. It does help the drag washers and take some of the pressure off that reel. The rod, it's one of my favorite rods made by Abu Garcia. It's the Ike series. This is the 7.6 medium heavy 1220. I seen it online a couple years ago, and Ike is one of my favorite bass anglers, so I was like, I have to get this rod, and the color is ridiculous. I thought it was blue at first, but then you get it outside into the sun, and it's just crazy. It changes colors like one of those crazy car paints they put on those sport cars. But so far, it's a great rod. I've caught a lot of fish on it. All the bass rods I have right now are the Mike Iaconelli series rods, whether it be from my frog rods to my chatterbait rods to my Texas rig rods. They are the Abu Garcia Mike Iaconelli design rods. They are coming out with some new Iaconelli rods here within the next month or so. They will be debuting at the iCast, which is actually this week. So stay tuned. I will have photos and hopefully some video of those. If you guys have any questions at all, you can always comment on the video. You can go to my Instagram, Jesse Wright Fishing, and shoot me a message there. And hopefully this video does help you decide on choosing your next frog and if you want to give this guy a test drive. Because so far, it's proved it catches fish and it holds up pretty well. Take care, guys.